Hey everybody, welcome to week 6 of our study of Romans here at RCC. We're going to be going through the book of Romans all summer long. We're in week 6, and this week we're actually going to be covering chapters 6 and 7 of the book of Romans. But before we jump into these chapters, I want to tell you a little story. The other day I was with my youngest son, and he was trying to hit the ball with a bat. He was trying to do this over and over again, and then somebody was pitching to him, and he kept on missing the ball. It happened over and over and over again, and he kept on saying, one more try. One more try. I just want one more chance. One more try. This will be the last one. This will be the last one. And the last one kept on happening over and over and over again until finally, after a long time of trying, he kind of figured it out and he hit the ball. It took him a while. He kept on wanting more tries. Isn't that how so many of us live our lives? We keep on wanting another try, another fresh start. Maybe this time it'll be different. Maybe this time we'll get it. If we just try a little bit harder, this time will be different than every other time that we've done it. We just want one more fresh start. It's kind of human of us, isn't it? It's how most of us live our lives. But here's the thing. Most of the time we think that if we change our circumstances, like where we live, or the color of our hair, or our profession, or whatever else about our lives, that this time things will be different. We think that if we just try some set of circumstances to be different, our lives and our fresh start will change and be better than it once was. Kind of like my son who kept on swinging harder and harder at the ball, trying to hit it with the bat. He thought that if he just swung a little harder, this time it would be different. But in reality, we often need more than just that. At the start of chapter 6, Paul begins to tell us about this fresh new start that Jesus has for us, and how it's different than any other fresh start that we can throw at our lives. He says in chapter 6, verse 4, "For we died and were buried with Christ by baptism, and just as Christ was raised from the dead by the glorious power of the Father, now we also may live new lives." Sometimes that thing in us has to die and be buried completely before we can grow something new. Have you ever tried to get rid of a weed in a garden or out in your yard somewhere? And maybe you just went and you snapped it off and you left it for a week. And you went back and you realized that it had grown twice as big and it actually multiplied. Well, what happened is you snapped it off, but you didn't get to the root. The root was still there and the root continued to grow. It's kind of like what Paul talks about when he says this. "So the trouble is not with the law, for it is spiritual and good. The trouble is with me, for I am all too human, a slave to sin. I don't really understand myself, for I want to do what is right, but I don't do it. Instead, I do what I hate." Just trying really hard, just trying to get the law or the rules right, just doing our best or changing our circumstances. None of these things ever quite get to what we need them to get us to. They never quite work because they don't get to the root. The root continues to grow. But thankfully, Jesus offers us a different way. He offers us a way for that thing in our lives to lose the power that it has over us. He offers us a way to have a new leader, a new purpose, a new vision for our lives. This is what Paul says. "But now we have been released from the law, for we died to it and are no longer captive to its power. Now we can serve God, not in the old way of obeying the letter of the law, but in the new way of living in the Spirit." Do you want a fresh start? A fresh start that lasts? A fresh start that actually gets to the root of the weeds? A fresh start that helps you connect with the ball when you swing the bat? If you do, then Paul says that it begins by choosing to die to those things in your life, like Jesus died, and then being reborn like Jesus came back to life, and having this new life in you, and then having Jesus and his Spirit be the one that leads your life. All right, now it's your turn. Go ahead and read chapter 6 and 7, and then check out these questions. To start with, we'll do the questions that we do every week. What jumped out at you as you read these verses? How does what you read challenge you to transform the way you think? In what ways does this transformed way of thinking translate into living differently? In what ways will your actions change? And then here are the questions for chapter 6 and 7. What does God take power away from when we choose to follow Jesus? What did sin exploit to make us do things we don't want to do? And finally, who is our guide for this new way of living? Thanks for checking out our video study of Romans. We're going to post one of these every single week on Monday. And as we do, we hope this is a chance for you to be transformed by God as you study what he says in the book of Romans and not just conform to whatever's around you. Hope you have a great week.